From the great halls of their house, there are assembled three who hope to one day be the world's greatest driving heroes. Created from the cosmic legends of the universe comes our team captain, the Vision, Bill Fisher. Their soon-to-be Wonder Woman, Vicky Fisher. Our Captain Marvel and head flight trainee, Jennifer Skripchuk. And our Batman, the master of tools, gadgets, and all things mechanical, our mild-mannered soon-to-be billionaire, Alan Danvers. Their mission, to fight injustice, share what is right and wrong, to get you out of your house and come out racing with them, and serve all mankind. They are the Garage Heroes in Training Team.
Captain's Log Supplemental.
So, Miss Vicky.
Yes, sir.
Do you remember when we were watching those WRL events and some of those Grid Life events where you used to see the in-car video and it had like the cameras seeing front and back, but it also could see all the telemetry and everything that was going on?
Mm-hmm.
You know, most of the ones that we liked were taken by the Sentinel system. Remember James came on our podcast earlier?
Right.
You know, we have no excuse since he lent us one for trial and demonstration purposes. We should actually probably put that in one of our cars. Maybe two.
I really think we should.
I think we should.
I know.
Because then we'd look like the immature endurance racing team that we are. Oh, wait, I mispronounced that, didn't I? Sorry, my bad. We could
So what does
have-
the Sentinel system do?
We could have 3 cameras with picture-in-picture. We could have, if we ever get the AIM system to work, open invitation to anybody from AIM to come on and give us a little bit of love. We need some help. And then we could have all our telemetry on there. And then we can have it streamed live into the paddock or around the world to our millions of fans. We're apparently very popular in Kenya right now. Don't know why, but that's fine. And it can integrate all the available race statistics from like Race Hero and everything. So we could actually see how we're doing on video. We wouldn't even have to carry around our phone anymore. Live.
I love it.
Dominating with Dawson.
Miss Vicky, Ben's here.
I know. I'm so excited.
I know.
Yay!
You know, it's just not as much fun to dominate without Dawson.
No, it's not.
It's not.
There is
That's what they
no
always say.
dominating without
No.
Dawson.
No, we're more denominating, but that's a different story. Ben Dawson, I have a question for you.
All
It was a listener question that I
Ooh,
forgotten.
I'm here now. I'm all the way here. Let's hear it.
I know. To summarize the question real fast, good shocks / coilovers, are they worth it?
I don't know. I guess it depends on your platform and how much improving it needs. It depends on.
Your driving level.
That's kind of a loaded question.
I know.
Yeah,
But-
I'm gonna say it depends on your driving level and whether or not you're ready to. If you're maximizing what you got already, or you feel like this car's never going to be faster without me putting these on. I think another consideration for sure is if you're building or working with a vehicle that's intended for competition,
Mhm.
I wouldn't want to go put something on that's not legal for that competition.
Mhm.
Or if such devices are legal on your car, I wouldn't want to go buy one brand and then have to turn around and buy the spec brand for that class. So
Yep.
things to think about for me being a lazy, cheap bastard would be, oh, I'm going to build this thing into a Spec E46. So I'm going to go ahead and get Spec E46, coilovers and sway bars and, whatever this thing's called, camber plates and stuff like that.
Mhm.
So there are a lot of different considerations to it. But also, if you're going to the track with a car that you're driving daily and needs to not be an extreme setup like race car and has to be comfortable on the road, that's also something else to think about. Another consideration is, do you understand race car handling and setup enough to even set up, your coilovers and that sort of thing? Or could it be a learning experience for you and might be just a good exercise? I don't mean that to sound prohibitive. I mean, I'm not saying don't put on coilovers if you don't understand the setup. I am saying is it might be a great time to go to race car handling college.
Mhm.
Which is, I mean, the internet, the internet, your buddies who are already racing something like that and have it fast. You know what I mean? Like, there's lots of reasons to do it, plenty of reasons not to do it. That's a naughty question to me. What do you think?
I personally think that it would be easy to start a fight among a bunch of people just by asking this question.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, we're assuming our
it
listener
feels
was
like a sticky subject.
what's the best brake pad? So, so if I'm looking at this question, I'm kind of scratching my head a bit, and this could be why I didn't notice it on our list. So, my first thought is if you're new, are good shocks and coilovers worth it? No, they're not worth it. You're just not ready. You have so much more you can learn as a driver, and you probably aren't pushing your car as it is.
But what if you're building yourself as not just, you're building your motorsports acumen, not just in the driving direction, but also you're like, I also want to learn about building and
Yep.
setup. In
Okay.
that case, I would say do both at the same time. If you have energy for that and it has value, it took me forever to put like good shocks and springs on my Miata because I'm doing pretty good with this thing as it is and driving the piss out of it, and I'm going to keep learning how to get better with my driving. But it depends. I've never been a big car building guy myself.
I'd still like you to stay with what you have so you can know what the difference is.
Well, that's true. There's a lot of value in understanding how this thing is as you relate to it and making a change. And you make a big change like coilovers or something like that, and you're a super new driver, you might not have the driving chops or instincts or feel yet to even know what the changes that you made.
Yep. Like we have a scheduled test day with Miss Vicky where we're going to go out and we're going to just do some fundamental changes just so her, we always call it the butt dyno, just so her butt dyno knows like what's the effect of 5 pounds of air pressure higher or lower, front or rear.
I
What's
was
the
going to say 60 pounds in the rears, 15 pounds in the rears.
exactly. So she knows what that feel is. And then we're going to do and go through the different cycle of, let's say it's a 24 click shock adjustment. We're going to do full hard, full soft, and something in the middle. And she'll be able to tell what it does. And, we're just going to go through the fundamentals and the basics. And hopefully the goal at the end of this is not only for her to understand it a little bit more, but for her to get into a car the next time and say, oh, it's just not right. I think I need a little more and actually have an answer as opposed to saying it just doesn't feel good. And, I need to do this as well. And that's kind of where I'm at with the good shocks and coilovers. Is it worth it? It can be worth it. It's another, let's say you're more of an intermediate. Now you're adding a layer of complexity, right? You've got one-way adjustable coilovers or one way. Okay, that's fairly easy. You've got a range of full soft to full hard. And I'm assuming this is a race car, not a street car. You've got full hard to full soft. You can kind of figure it out and dial it in, but at the same time, you need to figure out which tire you want to run, what tire pressure do you want to run, and it's going to vary day to day, and you have to be cognizant of that. Now, if we start talking 2 ways and 3 ways and remote, and I've heard of 5-way. I don't even have a clue, but I wouldn't know how to set those up. Even, we're 7 years into this and would not have a clue. Actually, my clue would be to call friends and say, what do I do?
Yeah. I mean, for my part, I'm building a car that's going to have adjustable rebound in the shock setup, the spec shock setup. But that's going to be an opportunity for me to learn because I don't grasp rebound well enough because I've never had anything I could use, I could adjust it with. So what does it matter to me? You know what I mean? But now we got to go to school on rebound and that sort of thing. So it's an exciting chance for me. But I don't like I go in there with that as a growth opportunity, not something I go in knowing anything about. But like you said, Bill, I got plenty of smart people who I can go, hey, what do you think about rebound? What do you think, guys? Like I just start asking people about it.
Yeah, it's like the joke that I the time I heard the joke first, it was talking about the Porsche engineers. They said the more adjustability you give the driver, the more things they get wrong.
Yeah,
and it unfortunately,
I'm sure that's
true.
right. Yeah.
I mean, I may get myself so confused. I have no idea what I have, and it was better off if I just never touched it. But
Well, I directly had that experience when I was in karting. I had a crappy chassis my first year, and the second year I did it, I went and bought a chassis from a guy who won a lot. He gets me all set up. I go out there, the cart is blazing fast, turns perfect, all this sort of stuff. 3 months into the season, I've been tweaking and just messing with the setup day to day, and I've got that setup drifted so far out, I can't get a lap time out of the cart. I finally take it back to the guy. He sets the baseline back up. Gets me right back on the right kind of gearing, gets me back on the right kind of caster and camber, all these things that I kind of guessed on. Like, oh, well, let me just massage this little thing. Let me change. I screwed myself up so bad. And all it took was this guy to go, nope, blah, 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 right back to where I put you, leave it there. And of course I didn't, but yeah, it's so easy to get kind of crossed up with adjustments, especially if you don't know what you're doing, which I didn't.
Mm-hmm. And it does depend on what you're doing and what your experience is and what your knowledge is and who your friends are. I will say
Sure.
the drivers that I look up to who are good drivers, the good coilovers make a big difference for them.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's the difference between podiums and mid pack.
Well, yeah. I mean, I would just say, like, take a guy like Tama, stick him out in a S2000 stock,
Mm-hmm.
and then stick him out there in the S2000 with just adding coilovers and get shocks and springs, and I'm sure you would see a big difference.
Yep. You can look at some of the old Grid Life videos. He went from a car that he was prepping to a car that he was working with somebody prepping, and I believe they changed the motons in that particular instance.
Yeah.
And it was night and day. And it's not like Tom was sucking to begin with, but it was just like,
No.
should I win all the races this weekend or should I just win 3 of them? So it's a complicated question. And I think the answer is it depends on you. It depends on the car. It depends on the series. It depends on how good of a driver you are and how.
Depends on where you are in your arc of learning this stuff too, right?
For sure. I mean, this is not, this is like how they always say aero is this black box that, everybody talks about and nobody really understands. It's the same thing for me as suspension and coilovers and spring rates. And I mean, we didn't even talk about springs. We just talked about the, there's that too. So,
springs, get your springs as stiff as you can. Everybody do it.
Sure. That's because Ben wants to pass you. And then if you want to do this street and track, man, I don't know about that one. A really good set of coilovers.
By the time my Miata had the spec Miata coilovers on it and like a unsprung clutch, all that stuff, it was about done being a car I wanted to drive on the street.
Yeah, it's tough. You're going to have to give up compromises to make it do both, which means it's not a good street car and it's not a good track car. Vicky's already had one of those and she made the choice and she said, I'm going to go get another car, and we got rid of it. So what was it, Vicky? Your famous
2 street for track and 2 track for street.
Yeah, pretty much.
2 country for rock and roll, 2 rock and roll, 4 pump.
Yeah, it couldn't do either very well.
No. And you didn't have a place to do track with it the way it was because there wasn't really a place to put it.
No, it just ended up, for me, it ended up a car that I couldn't grow with. It couldn't grow in racing.
What did you do? Set it on fire? Did you set it on fire or drive off a cliff or something? Put a brick on the gas pedal and drive off a cliff?
Right. I just sold. I mean, it was a great car.
Still is.
It is a great car.
What are we talking? We talking about the gray Miata?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The turbo.
I knew the turbo ass Miata.
Yeah, and it's great, but I don't know how do you use a turbo? That's just a street car at that point.
I could have helped you. I could have helped you use that turbo.
It really was. I mean, it was good for her for HPDEs, but she was looking for, like, if I want to go race it, where do I race it? And
I can't race it.
What kind of power was that thing putting down? Did you guys have any idea?
I don't know how much, because I couldn't get a read on the settings. What is it when you dial it in?
The boost.
Yeah, I didn't know enough to do the set for it. But I just know that when I was racing other Miatas at the HPDE and the training stuff, they couldn't figure out why I was going so fast.
That's so funny. I used to have
And
people.
they're just like,
come by and ask me about my Miata. Like, is that thing turbo? What do you got there? It's like this thing's less than stock.
right. But I was like passing these people. They're like, how is she doing that? She's like whooping
Yeah.
our ass. And that's why it's because of the turbo. Now, the thing is a turbo's a sprinter. It's a
Right.
sprinter
Yeah.
car. And that's it
Yeah.
for a track event. But you can't race it because you overheat it.
Endurance race.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't
That's funny.
endurance race it, and it doesn't qualify for track racing for like the what. And I'm just like, how am I going to use this car?
That's funny. Somehow I knew that was the car you were talking about.
Yeah. And
Which-
Like, didn't that thing have like a Planet, like or a Racing Beat turbo or something on it? Where was the turbo from?
It's
Do you
Planet.
remember?
No, what is
The
it?
other one. I know. Yeah. I know.
Flying Miata.
Flying Miata.
Yeah, it was a
That's right.
flying
Flying
Miata.
Miata turbo kit. Like, Jesus.
Stage 2. I think it was north
I was
of
going to
200.
say, even the mildest stage is pretty wild.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was a great car.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
it
it doesn't
wasn't
help you
great.
achieve your goals.
Yeah, but yeah, I kind of outgrew it.
Yeah, that's cool.
Which
That's probably the
brings
best way
me
I could
to-
put it.
I have a story. It's story time. So I make my transition during COVID. I transitioned from I think I went from 1 to 2 to 3. So it's my first time in 3. And in 3 in NASA Great Lakes, they group you by, the traditional thunder and lightning breakdown. So the fast cars stay with the fast cars and the slow cars stay with the slow cars, even in the HPDEs. So when you're doing your large number drills, you're approximately the same performance. But they also pair you up. So if it's a 2-person drill, you'll be paired up with a car that's the same. So here I am. Something happened. I'm driving Liam's first gen Toyota 86, and I'm paired up with, I think it was a BRZ. So I'm like, okay, this is fun. So we go out there, we're having a great time, and we do the drill, and it's a passing drill, and we just keep passing each other and loop, 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 loop. And then you do the first lap and the second lap, and then the third lap on for the rest of the session, you're able to just drive as you want. So we're coming out of Keyhole at mid-Ohio, laps done. I come out of Keyhole, I think I hit it pretty good, and it just goes whoosh, like way out in front of me. Like I'm like, I thought I came out with good speed. I thought I carried everything well, and this guy just, by the time we got to China Beach, he was probably 400 or 500 yards ahead of me, and I'm just like, oh man,
Wow.
I'm like totally defeated. I'm like, I'm not ready for 3. I should just give this up. And so next time we go to class, and then I come back and then talking to him, and I'm like, oh, I thought I was good and I thought I was ready to go. And he pops his hood, and it was an LS swap.
Like,
So-
dang, man, you blowing my doors off.
I'm like sitting there going, all right, I feel better now. He's like, yeah, you should.
Oh, like, oh, shoot.
Yeah. I was like, it was the same car, but
That's so funny.
not the same heart. So
Wow.
it was fun though. I had a good time. I felt much better about myself after that. But
Sure. That makes sense.
I don't suck nearly as bad as I thought I did.
I thought I
Yeah.
sucked really bad, but I only sucked a little bit. But he's still a great driver though. So anyway, that's story time. Thank you, Ben.
There we go. All right.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
Thanks for having me.